Hey, this is Mark from SmeltzerSounds. Thank you for watching SSTV every single weekday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. 3 p.m. Going to have Chris Hahn on today. Going to be some fun. Coming up in just a minute. I just tagged him, so he should be joining in just a minute. But before I do, I want to thank you for joining me. If you have questions for Chris, send them in the comments. You can send them to me. You can send them to Chris directly. So thank you again for joining me. We'll get started in just a minute. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. And we can get started here in just a minute as soon as Chris jumps on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post in the comments here. I've got my computer down here. I've got Twitter right here. For those of you who are watching on Twitter, if you want to jump on to the Facebook feed on Mark M. Smeltzer or SmeltzerSounds, I think I can share it to the SmeltzerSounds feed as well, because I want to make sure that anybody who wants to see this and wants to hear the story should be able to. So we'll get started in just a second. All right, excellent. So we got Chris. We will bring him on. Here we go. For those of you just joining, if you want to send questions right here on the stream. So you're on Twitter, you can jump onto Facebook if you want. And like I said, I'm taking questions. And I'm going to post some of Chris's material right here. Chris, thank you for joining me. How are you? Hopefully it works. We already tested it before, so we'll see how it works.
I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining me, man. I've got a few questions, but before I get into my questions, I want to get into some of the questions that the people who were just watching that test, they had a few questions for you. I want to start with those. So for those of you that already know you, let's start with, for those of you who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
All right, my name's Chris Hahn. I am 47 years old. I am an ex-WWF, WWE professional wrestler. 4.5 years ago, I suffered from a softball-sized brain tumor, which had to retire me from the professional wrestling world. And now I am an actor and a stuntman, and I wish I would have pursued this a lot earlier because I enjoy the acting and the stunt a lot more than I do the pro wrestling.
Interesting. So do you miss pro wrestling at all then?
Miss it, yeah, because I'm an entertainer.
Sure.
I miss the whole showmanship.
Sure.
I miss being in front of a live crowd. The nice thing about movies is if I mess up, we just do another take. Where in the pro wrestling world, if you mess up, then you got to roll with it. So it makes you bring your A game every time, because there's no chance for any screw ups. You just have to go with the flow, you know.
Got that hard camera on you every time, and if you make a mistake, that's
exactly. Exactly.
Well, that question was from Matthew Biller. I don't know if you know him or not, but he's one of your followers.
Yes, know him real well. Mm-hmm.
Very nice. And then he also was curious about what new movies you're working on right now and how they're coming along.
I've got 4 movies getting ready to come out and 1 TV show. I got a movie called Old Man with a Gun, which is with Robert Redford, and
okay.
I play a prison guard in the movie, and in the last scene that he's ever going to be on screen, I'm in the scene. So it's kind of surreal in the sense that Robert Redford's last movie,
now you're just showing off.
The last scene he's ever going to be on screen, I'm in the scene with him, escorting him out of a prison. So that was pretty cool. I did a little bit of work on a movie called White Boy Rick with Matthew McConaughey, and it's about an underground arms drug dealer, and I play a Wayne County Sheriff deputy in it. And I did a movie called Donnybrook with Frank Grillo, and it's about bare knuckle brawl fighting, and I play the bodyguard of the
Beyond Skyline.
What's that?
Right? Frank Grillo, Beyond Skyline.
Frank Grillo was in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and he was also in The Purge, the first Purge.
Gotcha.
It's about bare knuckle brawl fighting, and I play the bodyguard for Chris Browning, who was in the Sons of Anarchy, and he owns the Donnybrook, and I'm his bodyguard in the movie, so it's kind of cool. And then one of my biggest movies that I've done in a while it's called Extremely Wild or Extremely Wicked and Vile, the Ted Bundy story, and it's starring Zac Efron. He's playing Ted Bundy.
Right.
And it's I play a federal marshal that gets to arrest him and wrestle him to the ground and, you know, kind of handcuff him and take him into courtroom. So that was pretty cool because, I mean, he's a big A-list actor. And I've worked with guys in the past like Don Cheadle, and I had a fight scene with Ewan McGregor in a movie called Miles Ahead, the Miles Davis story.
Okay.
And then I played the bodyguard for John Travolta in Criminal Activities.
Right.
It was pretty cool because I got to be on set all week with John Travolta, and I got to learn from one of the best. You know, he gave me a little bit of advice and, you know, kind of helped me out a little bit in different avenues to take. And then I've got an episode of House of Cards coming up in November where I play a Secret Service agent. So I'm staying pretty busy.
Netflix House of Cards, like the
Netflix House of Cards. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so you got your hand in everything a little bit.
I'm trying. Awesome.
Very nice.
So it's about getting out there and making yourself seen, making yourself noticed, being in the limelight. The only one that's going to promote me is me. Nobody else. I got a manager. His name's Carlos, and he runs Look Now Management, and he's phenomenal because he submits me for everything. Sure. And his partner Karen Berry, and I just signed with them in February, and they're an LA-based talent agency.
Ohio,
but
right? So you got to fly back.
I'm in Ohio. Yeah, I'm in Ohio. So I do a lot of work in Atlanta. I go to Atlanta. I'm trying to get into Walking Dead. I know a couple people that work on set, and they're trying to pull some strings for me. And I just did a movie called Escape from Death Block 13, where I play with a character by the name of Robert Kovacs. And I really can't go into that too much because it's still filming. But it's a lot of stunt work in it, a lot of stunt work. So I'm enjoying that because I'm also a stuntman.
Gotcha. Coming out this year, Escape from Death Block 13. It's in.
No, it'll probably come out probably early next year. That's the plan.
Gotcha. Well, for those of you who just joined us, by the way, you can go on to that pinned tag right there at the top on the IMDb, and you can click his link, and you can check out all the material that Chris is going to be in or has been in as well. And then, of course, Johnny Paradise back from the 90s. Right. So there you go. You're probably on YouTube. You can check them out everywhere. So another question I had earlier was, what's it like doing? I mean, I guess we already answered this question. What's it like doing movies? But you say it's fun. It's enjoyable. You have a kick-ass time. You get in the line.
You know, the thing about it is being a SAG actor is cool. But I still do a little bit of like featured extra work because if I don't get cast in a movie as one of the principal roles or the supporting roles, I still go on set and I network and I meet people because you just don't know somewhere down the road that person might say, hey, I need a 6'2", 240-pound bald guy. There was a guy that was on, let's say, House of Cards that would fit that role perfect. So you go on, you meet people, yeah, exactly. And then, like I said, you never come off cocky and arrogant. You always come off humble. You always come off willing to work. You come off eager to eat, you know?
Absolutely. People are watching out for you. That's great.
Exactly. And it's like, it's crazy because I'll be out and I might be in Cincinnati and someone might come up to me and say, hey, I met you on Miles Ahead, the Miles Davis story. For as big as you are and as intimidating as you are, you're a pretty nice guy. And I'm like, well, thanks. I appreciate that. Like I was on The Proposal. Now look at this. Does this look like this should be on a dating show? No. But I got submitted and I got brought on as the program and I had the time of my life. Was I looking for love? No, I wasn't looking for love. If I would have got picked, who knows what would have happened. But I was going on there to get across three things. Me and my agent sat down and we talked about it. We were going on there to get national exposure, which we got, to show that I'm more than just this rough exterior, that I have a personality, that I am a fun-loving guy, and then to also show that I have a sensitive side because I talked about my brain tumor. And whenever I usually talk about my brain tumor, I kind of tear up a little bit because it brings back a lot of scary memories.
I would totally imagine why. Absolutely.
You know? So we got three things across, and from that point on, I've gotten quite a bit of work in the sense of people calling for auditions. I got an audition this week for a movie called The Wicked Ones, which is going to shoot in Lexington, Kentucky. I've got some bigger projects in LA that I'm being noticed for.
Sure.
I can't really go into them, but one's a huge director, and it's like if I get this, it might set my career off. So everybody out there, keep your fingers crossed for me because
everybody's pulling
hopefully,
for you. Share the
well,
stream, like and comment, check out his stuff, watch his stuff, get Chris in the limelight because that's what people do. That's what people do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. My whole thing now is it's not that I haven't taken the East Coast over, but I want to start doing more work on the West Coast. That's why when I talked to you and you said you were LA based.
Well, West Coast, not LA, but I'm West Coast based. Okay. Northwest, like Wenatchee, Washington.
Okay. But I was thinking to myself, getting on a West Coast podcast show, it'll get me out there a little bit more. I want to start moving out to the West Coast and doing my thing on the West Coast. There is a lot of guys, you know, you go out there and people say, you know, blondes are a dime a dozen. You know, supermodel looking guys are a dime a dozen in the movie business. But I'm 240-pound ex-pro wrestler with a bald head and a loud mouth. I'm not a dime a dozen, you know. No. I mean, you got guys like Dave Bautista. You got guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin that are in the movie business now, John Cena, that are all big guys. But if you look, and no disrespect in any way to like Sylvester Stallone, he's not 6'2", 240 pounds. He's a phenomenal actor, don't get me wrong. Sure. But he's only like 5'7". You got guys like The Rock that are kind of taking over. And I'm sitting there thinking, there's a lot of these pro wrestlers like Randy Orton and Dave Bautista and John Cena and The Rock that are now getting out of the wrestling world. We're all about the same age. And Chris Hahn, exactly. Right. We're all about the same age, and it's a little bit less wear and tear on the body, you know?
So, speaking of less wear and tear on the body, I read an article last night about how you, it was December of 2014, I think, that you had your brain tumor removed?
Yes, December 7th of 2014. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and the article was written in February 2015, but it was talking about how you were so scared of not being able to walk or to talk or to do anything. So you had all these different, you had migraines, you had the blurriness, you had loss of vision.
Right. Well, the May of that year, I got thrown out of the ring and I hit my head on the steel railing around the outside.
Right.
And from that point on, I started getting symptoms. I started getting really, really nasty headaches where there would be times that I would get up in the morning. I couldn't even stand up. I was so dizzy. A doctor buddy of mine here in town put me on a seizure medicine called Topamine. And Topamine basically took the headaches away. But there'd be times I'd have to crawl out of my bed and crawl into my kitchen on my hands and knees, reach up because I couldn't stand up. And I'd grab the medicine, I'd take it, and then I'd go back to bed. And within a half an hour, I was perfectly fine. I just let it go on because I was kind of bullheaded in a sense. And if it wasn't for my mom, who's my pride and joy, my mom, I gotta talk a little bit about my mom because my mom works as my manager, agent, before I hired Carlos, who's my agent now, manager.
Dude, that's what moms are for.
She did all my submissions. She did everything for me. She's like my backbone. I mean, she takes care of me. She took 2 months out of her life to shut her life down, to stay with me and make sure I got, and the thing about it is, from that point on, I was adopted. And I have only met my mom three years. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got something in common. That's cool. But I had only met my mom 3 years prior to that. So I was 40. At the time, I was 45. I met her when I was 42. And, you know, she took time out of her life for 2-3 months to move down to my apartment and make sure that everything, because I couldn't drive. I couldn't, you know, and it was crazy because I'm not the easiest guy to get along with. I mean, I have my days where I'm just a bear.
You sound kind of bullheaded sometimes, don't you?
Exactly. Exactly. But you know, the crazy thing was the night before my surgery, my doctor came. What's that?
Sorry, go ahead. No, I just said like people who are watching, we are taking questions. But go ahead.
The night before my surgery, the doctor had come in and said that it wasn't cancerous, which, knock on wood, it wasn't cancerous. But the tumor was the size of a softball and it was above my right eye. And basically what it was doing, it was twisting my brain around, which was causing all the symptoms. He said, I don't really know how intense the surgery is going to be. So there may be a chance that you may wake up and you may not be able to see again. You might not be able to hear. You might not be able to taste. You might not be able to use your arms. You may not be able to walk. You may not be able to do anything. You might be a vegetable. You just never know because that's a major organ.
The shit out of me.
So I cried myself to sleep for like 6 hours because I was scared to death.
Sure. I would imagine.
When I woke up from surgery that prior morning, I got up and the doctor said, in order for you to go home, we got to start physical therapy. I walked 2.5 miles or 2.5 miles around the hospital, up and down stairs, whatever, because I was determined to get out of that hospital and get back to the gym and start working out. And they kind of believe that a lot of my rehab was based on, I'm an amateur bodybuilder. So I do amateur bodybuilding just to stay in shape for the acting and the stunts.
Sure. That must be so labor intensive.
It's crazy. But I mean, I get up at the gym every morning. I see that. I was going to see you busting through your shirt, man.
No.
But I get up every morning like at 4 o'clock. I go to the gym. I do an hour of cardio. Then I start working as a personal trainer. And then about 7 o'clock, I do my weight training. And then I get something to eat. And I continue to work as a personal trainer. And then I work for a buddy of mine whose name's Steve Cobb. He owns a company called Garbage Guys Who Care. It's a garbage company, but they got pink trucks and pink cans, and they give back to the Community Breast Cancer Foundation.
Oh, that's cool.
So I work as the grunt. I pick up the couches and the refrigerators and throw them in the back of the truck and do all this and that. And
do you get chiropractic work done?
Yeah, that, and I gotta have a massage therapist that just tortures me to death, but I need it because
you kind of have to, don't you?
Yeah, I got to get adjusted, and I got to feel comfortable every now and then.
Sure.
But no, I mean, I guess you could say I'm blessed because I'm living my dream. So I work as a garbage man during the day, and my buddies tease me because then in a week later I'll go on set with John Travolta. So it's crazy. He goes, "You're an actor, but you're also a garbage man," and everybody gets a laugh out of it and stuff like that. But you know, it is what it is. I got to pay my bills.
Right, Steve Buscemi was a garbage guy over in like New York City or over in the East Coast, something like that. And now he's well known for his voice. He's well known for his acting, his eyes. He's well known for a whole bunch of stuff, man.
Sure.
Yeah. So I just don't imagine that. I could not imagine being able to have to go through to what you were going through. So hopefully you can help people with your story in the sense that.
Well, I do a little bit of motivational speaking. I usually talk to kids and talk about overcoming obstacles, setting goals, not falling into peer pressure. And I talk to them about, because usually it's high school kids. These are the most important years of your life because basically you get into trouble, it's going to follow you the rest of your life. You pretty much decide basically what you're going to do for the rest of your life by deciding what you're going to do in college. But it's crazy because when you talk about being in superhero movies and being a pro wrestler, their eyes open up and they really listen because that's kind of like, you know, the thing is pro wrestling and superhero movies, you know?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's kind of crazy.
So as far as that goes, when you're on set, is it always like hurry up and wait, or is it more lax, or is it just depend on the director, the producer? Who does it depend on? Does it depend on the crew? Does it depend on yourself?
Well, you know, the thing about it is when I work on these big budget movies, this Criminal Activities or Miles Ahead, or it's wait. The smaller movies that I worked on, a gentleman by the name of Jeff Miller, who's the producer of Axe Giant, Inoperable, the Death Block movie that I'm shooting,
who have
Clown Town.
2017, Inoperable came out in 2017. Clown Town came out in 2017.
Clown Town,
and
right.
Then, the year Axe Giant came out in 2013. The IMDb link is right there in this. But continue. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. But Jeff Miller's the producer, and Jeff Miller's a super good guy. But the nice thing about Jeff Miller is he always gives me a little bit of responsibility in the sense of help with some casting if it's local. Like on the movie we just got done, I casted a bunch of the stunt guys to come in and work. I also
your niche, you know those guys?
Yeah, because I'm a stunt guy in the area. So, and I'm also a pro wrestler. So I go out in some of the pro wrestling buddies of mine. to do some stunt work, and they did a phenomenal job. And they work for a local company around here called ASWA Pro Wrestling, and there are a bunch of local guys that put on a show every other month, and you know, we get about 1,600 people come, and everybody has a good time. And it's a family-friendly show. There's no cussing, no swearing, no beating up of women and stuff like that, like you see on TV sometimes. But I brought these guys into work, and they did phenomenal. And I also helped with a little bit of the financing, which is kind of new for me. So I'm a producer on this too. And then I also helped with catering, and I helped with this and that. And it's like, I give those guys a lot of credit because I didn't realize how much is involved in getting a movie together with the financing and the hiring and stuff. So those guys, my hats go off to them because they did a phenomenal, you know, and now I understand. So I try to add as many bullets in the chamber of my gun as possible. So when I go to a movie set, I understand what's going on over here. I understand what's going on over here. And it gives me a better concept of how the movie is actually run and what they had to go through to get to this certain point. And it makes it that much more fun to be a part of.
And that's one thing that I learned this year too. I just flew down to Los Angeles to be on like my first film set and do professional voice work for my first movie. You know, getting those first IMDb. It took 26 years to get it. Right. But better to get it than not get it at all. So.
Amen. That's the truth.
Even
well, congratulations, man. That's awesome.
It takes time.
Yeah, it does.
Thank you.
It's about being in the right place at the right time. And my dad always told me a long time ago, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I believe that 100%, you know?
Oh, yeah. And it shows. And it really does prove. You got to work those connections, but you can't be an asshole. You know, you got to be a nice guy.
Exactly. Exactly. You got to be.
But you got to also.
And when I usually walk in the room, usually when I walk in the room, I'm, like I said, I'm about 6'2". I'm about 240 pounds, and I'm large. I'm a large guy, and I'm loud as hell. I'm loud. And a lot of it has to do with my hearing loss and stuff. Intimidating people, I intimidate a lot of people. And that's not, I'm a big giant teddy bear is what I am. And
so that is so funny when you say about the giant teddy bear, because I just met Noel G, the actor. He's been in a whole bunch of stuff. And, you know, he's always plays this intimidating dude, but he's just such a nice guy. He's always like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? To like throw your arm around you. You're doing good. Like, do you need anything? You good? Do you need things? So it all depends on what you see on film. And then you meet the people in real life. You're like, oh, they're just people. Like, oh, yeah, that's really cool. But you know, you can't be an asshole.
Well, just like, what's his name? Kind of like that with, you ever heard of Vinnie Jones?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Vinnie Jones, he was in Midnight Meat Train, and he was in The Condemned and all that stuff. But he never really has a lot of dialogue. Basically, his character is based on presence because he's so big. Right. But he's the nicest guy in the world. And he's so humble, and he's just gracious and thankful for everything that he's got, you know? And that's the way you need to be. I mean, you don't need to be an ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not going to get you very far in life. You know, when I was a wrestler and I used to walk around town and I had the long blonde hair and all this and that, I used to think I was the king of the hill. And I was kind of an ass. And the whole brain tumor kind of humbled me a little bit. You know, it kind of brought life into perspective. I step back, I smell the roses, I embrace life. I try to, if I can put a smile on a couple people's face a day, then I feel that I'm productive in life, you know?
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. So I want to wrap this up because I know that we're coming to a quick close on 25-30 minutes here. So but before I do, like I said earlier, for those of you watching live, that's right there in the stream. It should be pinned. Should be the IMDb link right there toward Chris Hahn right there. And then if you want to get a hold of his agent, or if you have a certain particular part that needs to be that needs to be cast, get a hold of him. He's right here.
Exactly.
Right there. That's his mug. You can see him there. You can check out IMDb, and you can look online as well. Just type in Chris Hahn. That's Hahn for those of you watching. So, is there any other thing that do you have a book? Do you have somewhere where people?
No, not yet. No, yet. Eventually, I'd like to get down and write a book. There was a buddy of mine by the name of Al Tuskus who's he's a special effects guru. He was on Face Off and stuff. He would like to do a documentary on me someday about how the wrestling career brought me to a brain tumor and then how I came back to doing what I love to do.
Oh, yeah.
But if you want, you can contact me on Chris Hahn, entertainer, actor with stunt abilities. That's my Facebook page.
Okay.
Chris Hahn, actor at Twitter is my Twitter page, I think.
I'm trying to.
I think.
I'll post it afterward as soon as we're done.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I have an Instagram page, and then if any directors, producers are looking for a big, rough, tugged guy that can do fight scenes, that can do high falls, that can get dragged down the street by a car, that I'm not real good on fire burns. That's not my thing, and water is really not my thing. But I'm a stunt guy by heart. I mean, I'm 47 years old, so I'm trying to slowly work out. Oh, and by the way, I'd like to give a shout out to my stunt coordinator guy up in Cleveland, Ohio. His name's Rick Fike. He runs Stunt Predators.
Rick.
Phenomenal guy, and he gets me a lot of work, and I just appreciate him as a person, and I appreciate what he's done for me. Jeff Miller, I appreciate everything. Gary Jones is kind of like my mentor, and he did Axe Giant, and he's done Boogeyman 3, and he was the director on Xena Warrior Princess. I like to give a shout out to my buddy Chris Chapman, who did Inoperable. I mean, it's just amazing the people that I've met in the business, like you, Mark. I mean, I appreciate you having me on your show.
Absolutely.
It was an honor to be on your show. But you know, it's just you put a smile on your face and you embrace everything that's put in front of you, and you just roll with it, you know?
I agree with that. And for those of you, like I said, who just joined, you can check everything out. Rewatch this as soon as it's done with the live stream. And then I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. And if you have any questions, send us questions. Or if you have jobs, send us jobs. And we'll make sure to get you hired. So, Chris,
I appreciate it, Mark. You have a wonderful afternoon. If you ever need anything, if I'm ever out on the West Coast and close to you, you know, hit me up. We'll go to lunch. We'll do whatever.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you so much. Awesome. Let's stay in touch, man, for sure.
All right, you too.
Thank you. We just finished up here. I want to thank you for joining me. I was doing a Twitter feed as well, but you know, that's just my mug. Don't watch that. That was just to get people onto this stream to make sure that Chris can be known and have his material known. So go check out his IMDb. As soon as this is done, you can go and listen in the links, and I'm going to put the links in as well. Thank you for watching SSTV. My name is Mark from SmeltzerSounds. If you need voiceover, give me a call. I'm here to help you and your business as well. And then you can also check out my IMDb page at SmeltzerSounds. I think it's imdb.com. Mark M. Smeltzer, I think, something like that. I only got one credit. Most of my stuff's on SmeltzerSounds.com. So check it out. And like I said, I am here to help you as well if I can. And if I can't, I'll try and find the right person to help you. Thank you very much. Tomorrow, Thinking Tuesday, I believe I'm going to have Mike Chavez on. He does multiple Facebook lives. He's done like, I don't know, 600, and he's I follow him every now and again. So I'll try and get him on. And then I have more people coming on this week. And then Thinking Tuesday, Whatever Wednesday, Thankful Thursday, we'll talk about, you know, the things that you're thankful for and things of that nature. And then Freedom Friday, we'll talk about U.S. politics and how we can try and solve problems in our own country so that we don't fall as a society. So my name is Mark from SmeltzerSounds. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time. We'll talk soon.